So tell us the story of how completing the puzzle came to be.
Yeah, sure. So it was early days of COVID. Brian and I were stuck at home shortly after everything had been shut down, and we were supposed to have gone on a ski trip to Park City, Utah for my birthday at the end of March. And kind of as a consolation gift, Brian had gotten me a puzzle, a really nice puzzle of Park City instead. And so we were sitting at home, like so many others, and we did this puzzle. And when the puzzle was done, we went to put it away, and I said, "Man, this is just such a shame that we did this amazing puzzle, and we're going to go put it in the closet with all of our other puzzles now, and it's just going to go sit there." Because we rarely did puzzles more than once. And I used other services such as Rent the Runway, where I can rent clothes and other things where trying to, reuse versus just one-time use sort of items. And so I said to Brian, it's a shame there's not something out there where we could just rent puzzles since we typically only do them once. And it kind of sparked the idea. And Brian had a background working with subscription box companies. So we did a little research, and there wasn't really anyone else doing like this on the market. So we decided to give it a try. And from there, it took off because everyone was stuck at home puzzling and no one could get puzzles. And so it became this really crazy thing for us. We were meeting people in parking lots, getting puzzles out of the backs of people's cars just so we could have enough inventory. Yeah, it was really wild in those early days.
I love this sort of shady parking lot exchange thing.
Yeah, yeah. We were like, is this guy legit? We had to like give him cash, put it on on the hood of
Yeah.
the car and then go around back. Yeah, it was crazy.
So what was your background before coming to completing the puzzle? What kinds of things were you doing?
Sure. So I had been doing tech product management, so working with software. A lot of people probably don't know what product management is, but it's basically bridging the gap between business and the developers who are actually building the software. So, right before completing the puzzle, I was working in a company that worked with higher education institutions. One of the particular problems we solved for was in the scholarship management space. There are thousands and thousands of scholarships typically that would go unused every year just because students didn't know about them and didn't know to apply for them. And so the software actually took information that was already in a student's record based on their application to the school and then would match them with all of these available scholarships so that the funds wouldn't go unused. So that was really fun and rewarding to work on. But yeah, it was really a lot about finding problems in the market, talking a lot to customers, uncovering what would be useful for those customers, and then working with the developers to build something that would actually deliver value. So I think a lot of that I was able to apply in completing the puzzle, just from looking at the market, talking to our customers, taking customer feedback, and then Brian and I working to build it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I know that you both puzzle together and you love puzzles. How did you get into puzzles?
Yeah, I've been doing puzzles for as long as I can remember. The first puzzle that I actually remember is a puzzle of the US that I'm sure many of us had growing up, where it's, the hard pieces that it's like the puzzle, the board, and you fit
Pegs.
them in, yeah, with the pegs. And it's how I learned my geography at the same time of all 50 states, and their capitals. And my sister and I did that puzzle thousands of times probably because we would race each other to try to see who could do it in time. I remember using like a stopwatch to time us. And yeah, we would do that so many times. But then also, my mom, sister, and I would always puzzle. We would puzzle together on our kitchen table, and we still puzzle together. That's something that we very frequently do. when we're all together. My mom actually lives with my mom and sister live together, and they puzzle together quite frequently. And then when I'm there, we all puzzle together as well.
I love that you were basically speed puzzling as a kid before probably you knew it was a thing.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't speed puzzle now at all, but I'm a very competitive person, I would say generally, and was very competitive as a child. And yes, so anything I could make into a competition, I definitely was doing that.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite kinds of puzzles to do? What really draws you?
I will do almost any kind of puzzle, but I personally really like collage puzzles. And because I think it's just really fun to be able to put all these different separate sections together and then have it come into one whole puzzle. And I also really like gradient. I know a lot of people don't like gradient, but for me, I don't do a lot of puzzles looking at the picture, which I know sounds very odd, but part of the reason for that is I end up being the person who QAs the puzzles we receive as part of our buyback program to make sure they have all their pieces in our good condition before we add them to our inventory. And so a lot of times when our customers send them back, they don't send them with an image. So I'll just do them, straight out of the bag. And I much prefer being able to see like the shading of color versus having to see little details. And I think it'd be easier probably if I were doing it with an image to see the details. But for me, just being able to see shading of color is very soothing for one, but also it's much easier without an image, I think.
Yeah. I also don't puzzle much looking at the image, and that's kind of what I need to work on when I'm speed puzzling. But
Yeah. Make sure you're actually looking at it.
yeah. So you and Brian are a couple. You got married actually during the growth of your business, but what's it like, running a business with your partner?
It is challenging. I would not say it's for everyone. And it's really important to establish boundaries. I would say that's definitely been the biggest thing for us is learning boundaries between the business and our personal life. Because otherwise, being an entrepreneur means that you're working and thinking about work all the time. But you do have to find a way to turn that off at some point and be able to connect on a different level. And so I would say that's definitely the most challenging thing. But it's also helpful to have someone at home that can relate to, sometimes being a workaholic or, the challenges within the business because it is really challenging. So I think that is definitely something that is helpful to have started the business together and have gone through a lot of what is really difficult about starting a business together.
Yeah. What have been some of the standout moments to you as far as maybe some of the big challenges or maybe a funny moment or, anything that is particularly memorable?
So I don't know if this isn't funny. Definitely the most memorable thing. Well, Brian and I like to say if we want something, I don't know if bad's the right word, but if we want something to happen, then we just need to go out of town. Because inevitably, every time we try to go out of town, take a vacation, something happens. But by far the most memorable is on the wet morning of our wedding, the warehouse flooded. The the warehouse that was adjacent to ours actually was vacant and started flooding, and it had been, and it flooded into our warehouse. And paper products, puzzles, and water don't really mix that well. And Brian, being the very loving and amazing person that he is, he actually got the call around 6 a.m. on our wedding day, and he didn't tell me about it until after our wedding so that I wouldn't be stressed on our wedding day. So that's definitely the most memorable. Rather than having our, honeymoon that we were supposed to get, we ended up flying back to Austin to take care of the complete mess. So that's definitely something that I would say is probably the most memorable. And kind of along those same lines, we ended up taking a delayed honeymoon about 6 months after we got married. and we were out in Medellin, Colombia, up in on a tour, and basically the website went completely down. And so we had to tell our tour guide, like, I'm really sorry. This is really important information you're telling us right now, but we need to get back to our hotel ASAP and fix the website. So, I think that's it's important to understand that's kind of the life of an entrepreneur too, is there's not a day off.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those are definitely some things that stand out. But then I think on the positive side, I mean, our customers are so great and our employees have been so great. And I think that that's really amazing and what makes it awesome. We've gotten thousands of notes at this point from customers that are so heartwarming and so amazing. Most recently, one of our customers hand knit a dog toy for Astro, and it's his favorite toy. He carries it around with him everywhere now. So it's things like that that are just there's the hard, but then there's also the things that really make it worth it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. So you do a high volume, but I know you're a small team. So who
Mhm.
else is behind completing the puzzle? Who else makes the magic happen?
Well, you, for one, you're amazing with the content. We do lean heavily on agencies and other people to help supplement content, email, social media, things like that, because there's just not enough of us. We have the amazing Katie and Brittany who help with customer support, and they do a fantastic job. Maintain, I mean, because there is a ton of volume, and unlike a lot of businesses, we are incredibly cyclical. So, I mean, a lot of people would not know this, but we grew 40% in 1 month from mid-December to mid-January. That is enormous growth, and it's really difficult for especially a small team to withstand. So, one, appreciate anyone's patience who contacted support during that time, because we were trying to get, just our feet under ourselves. But yeah, like being able to manage that. So Katie and Brittany on the support side. And then in our warehouse, we have a wonderful team. Right now, it's all women. We did not mean to do that, but that's just kind of what has happened. Who are the ones who are actually, responsible for fulfilling all of the orders every day when the puzzles come back to us, inspecting them, cleaning them, putting them back into inventory. So they're actually in the warehouse doing that every day. So yeah, we really try to employ technology wherever we can to try to keep the team as small as possible. But we continue to grow. I mean, we've hired, I believe, 3 additional people since the beginning of the year.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the
Yeah.
growth in December, January, I assume, is people buying a lot of gifts, subscriptions as gifts for
It
the
was gift. It was, yes, it was mainly gifts, and then people, redeeming their gift cards and things like that. So it was really great growth. And we hope that people who received the gifts will like puzzling enough and like completing the puzzle enough that they'll, continue puzzling even after their gift is done.
yeah. How do you select the brands and images that you carry in the catalog? What do you look for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So whenever we're bringing on a new brand, it's really fun now because when we first started, we were doing all that outreach to brands, and we were having to, um, you know, get brands to accept us as part of their program. And now we actually have brands coming to us, which has been really fun. Um, and we take the we take it very seriously that we're going to be providing high quality products and puzzles to our customers. I am not going to put puzzles into our inventory that I would not want to do myself. And that doesn't mean every single image, because obviously we all have our own opinion and taste on what is a fun puzzle to do. And I want to be mindful that we have something for everyone in our catalog as far as the image goes. But when it comes to the actual quality of the puzzles, that's, what's really important to us. So I test out any new brands. I think we've had you test some of them. We've had some other pro puzzlers that we work with test them as well, so that it's not just me, but it's also other pro puzzlers we trust giving feedback on the brands, so that we get an idea of, one, is this a puzzle that the piece fit is good? There's not a lot of oh my gosh, why can't I think of
False fits.
thank you, false
Yeah.
fits. There's not a lot of false fits, which one is just a frustrating puzzling experience, but also for us, when we're reusing the puzzle, it's going to end up wearing out the puzzle much faster, and ruining the nubs. So there's not a lot of false fits. How sturdy is the puzzle? Because we are reusing the puzzle, we want it to be something that is going to last being shipped in the mail. The USPS does an amazing job with their volume, but they're not necessarily known for being the most delicate in handling of the packages. So we need to make sure that it's something that's going to withstand shipping. Um, and then lastly, like, I think just one of the things that I was really passionate about from the beginning is trying to work with diverse creators of puzzles. Puzzling was, and puzzle making was typically a very white and, very non-diverse thing in the past. And one thing I think that's been really amazing to see as puzzling has really exploded over the past 5+ years has been the diversity in puzzle makers, and therefore also the images that you see, and the people who are depicted in the puzzles, and so that's been really fun. So that's been one of the things that we've really looked at too, is how can we make sure that we're supporting diverse puzzle makers as well.
Yeah. So you said, brands are now coming to you wanting to be in the catalog. I would guess maybe a benefit is do they get more exposure, more new customers because of that?
Yeah, so we've actually had a couple completely sell out after we've added them and done, because typically when we bring on a new brand, we will do a blog post and we will do a social post introducing them, and we send out an email blast, because it's really exciting for us. We want to let our customers know about this new brand, but then we want to share the love. Like, for us, it's not just about growing our business, it's about growing the entire puzzle community. And so we're wanting to really elevate everyone who makes the puzzle community great, including these amazing new puzzle brands and puzzle makers. And so, yeah, it's been really exciting to see how much of an impact it's had on some of their business. But that is something that we're really committed to doing as we're bringing on these new brands.
Yeah. Awesome. Has anything surprised you in the course of completing the puzzle or any kind of memorable feedback?
I think the passion of the puzzle community was surprising to me. Even though I've puzzled my whole life, I wasn't I wasn't part of the speed puzzling community. I hadn't gone to like puzzle meetups or anything like that before starting completing the puzzle. And so I think that seeing the passion and the true camaraderie and the love of the puzzle community was both surprising and is just so amazing. So that's been really, really fun. I have to say, still one of my highlights of, of the time with completing the puzzle is probably the past year at Portland Jigsaw Masters, and getting to co-host and co anchor what you will, the contest. That was just so much fun. So I think with Rob, sorry, I should definitely give a shout out. But that was so much fun, and definitely something that I hope I can do again in the future. I think, you know, I think that I think there was a little concern, honestly, in the beginning that once the pandemic ended, people would forget about puzzling. And I think that to see people have a lot of the people that I've spoken with, they regained their love of puzzling while they had extra time during the pandemic. And then they realized this is something I want to continue because it gives me a chance to relax, escape, get away from my devices, whatever it might be. And I think to see that has been really great because I think, we can all agree in our overstimulated world, it's just a really great way to have some me time and give our brain a much needed rest isn't necessarily the right word, but recharge is probably a better word.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely true for me. Well, thank you so much, Elaine. It was so good talking to you, and I learned a lot about you and the business, which was really cool, and appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Joyce. Great talking to you.